Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the official meeting now. Sorry, we're done with the work session. The county council meeting to order. First, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mike Elam. Did we have anybody to do the invocation today?
Sister, I have it written in the binder.
Oh, sorry,
Sister Ruth Kurtz,
I was just looking on.
correct?
Sister Ruth Kurtz from the Sisters of Most Precious Blood of O'Fallon. If you would come forward and lead us in an invocation, I'd appreciate it.
Loving God, we ask for your guidance and direction as we come together this evening. Grant us all the strength to manage the challenges ahead and the wisdom to identify these as opportunities as we strive to serve the members of the St. Charles Community Council, County Council. As we make decisions on behalf of the St. Charles County Council, grant us all the gift of an open mind, the willingness to learn, and the acceptance to be humble in the ideas of others. Help us then to recognize diversity as a blessing and the unity as our strength. And this we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Mike Elam will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we'll have a roll call now, please.
Councilmember Joe Cronin. Here. Councilmember Joe Brazel.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Elam.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Klinghammer.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Hammond. Councilmember Terry Hollander.
Here.
Councilmember John White.
Here.
Okay, next we have public comments. This is the portion of the meeting where we allow members of the audience to come forward and address the council on anything related to on the agenda or to general county issues. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to address the council? Mr. Dinoff?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the County Council. A.C. Dinoff, County Resident. Mr. Chairman, congratulations on your announcement and your bid to be mayor of the City of St. Charles. I wish you good luck in that endeavor. And it's good to be back in this new room after about 4 months of renovation and trying to get the building back in shape from the sprinkler system that malfunctioned. I'd like to first start off by correcting the meeting minutes from the last meeting. I was referencing to the $250,000 bid that is now off of the table and was being sought for your approval of $250,000 from Steve Feldman Design out of Bethesda, Maryland, to complete basic tasks at the County Heritage Museum. The unapproved meeting minutes state that this was in the County Department of Transportation. That is not the case. I was speaking about a project in the Department of Parks and Recreation. This $250,000 is a total waste of taxpayers' money and can be handled in-house with current staff by the full-time county historian, by the full-time museum curator, by the director of Parks and Recreation, and the assistant directors of Parks and Recreation, along with the maintenance employees of the Parks Department and the Highways Department, and numerous volunteers that can be tapped into from the County Historical Society and the City Preservation Commission of the various municipalities throughout St. Charles County. This can all be accomplished for free with no or little expense and saving taxpayers $250,000 that can be better and wisely used. The second thing I'd like to talk about is we as citizens who are looking for more open and transparent and desire much more information from our county government want to know the status of the communications department and when programming and meetings will be fully restored. At 5 o'clock tonight, I logged onto the internet, and unfortunately, it's a rainbow. Actually, it was black, and I looked on TV, and it was a rainbow. The channel, the county's communication channel, is not up and running. It's been down now for 4 months. I believe that the 5 full-time staff employees in this division of the Department of Communications, what's going on? What's the status? What have they been doing for the last 4 months while there's been no programming and no TV station up and running? The television site and the station have been off the air since January of this year. and it's now been 4 months. We as citizens deserve better communications and additional insight in the daily workings, operations, and decisions of county government. What is the status of revamping or newly creating and getting live up and running the county's new website that will provide more information, reports, directions of county government, and open the doors of county government? We have a full-time information technologies department. We as citizens, we as citizens see hundreds of thousands of dollars of spending coming through the county council, but we don't see end results. So if you can respond to that, I sure would appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Dinoff. Does anyone else have any questions regarding the issues that Mr. Dinoff has brought up? Seeing none, I'll open the floor to other questions or comments. Yes.
Hello, council members. My name is Dan Hyatt. I'm the state representative for the National Motorist Association. The National Motorist Association and myself is 100% against photo enforcement as it is implemented by the photo red light companies in collusion with the cities looking for new revenue streams. The red light cameras in St. Peter's affect all Missourians, not just the people in St. Peter's. It's grossly unfair that the government of St. Peter violate Article 1, Section 1, and Section 2 of the Missouri Constitution on all motorists who happen to be driving through their town. And I'd like the council to put it to a vote of the people, even if it's just an advisory vote, to where the people get to have their voice, because right now the people do not have their voice on photo enforcement. And it says in Article 2 that when the cities fail to provide the protections to the people that the cameras take away, that the cities have failed in their chief design. So when the city is getting an F grade according to the Missouri Constitution, they don't have a say on whether or not that something should be on the ballot. It should be on the ballot for the people to decide. And also, photo red light companies are corrupt. They are under the Redflix, which does St. Peter's, is under federal indictment. American Traffic Solutions regularly drops lots of money funding state campaign funds so that they'll get people on their side. And, are you going to, if you're in the middle of Missouri, are you going to help the people in St. Louis, or are you going to take $1,000 or $5,000 from American Traffic Solutions? There's two primary companies serving the revenue-generating machines of the cities who are using photo red lights to raise money. There's arguments that they don't. The arguments will not stand up to the light of day. If we look at St. Louis County, we see city after city after city that is literally funding their cities off of illicit traffic revenue, victimizing the Missouri resident. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments. Does anybody else want to make a comment or share anything on specifically on red light camera districts first? Your first, your second, and your third in the back of the room.
Thank you for what you do. I would just like to say that many of us worked very hard on your campaigns to make sure that you got elected and you heard the voice of the people. I, being one of them, who worked on many of your campaigns, a lot of my time was spent making sure that you got elected and you listened to the voice of the people. And I think it's only fair to give the people their voice on this issue with the red light cameras. I, too, believe it's not constitutional, and I would like to see you back here for a couple more years. So do the duty of the people and make sure you adhere to Mr. Brazel's proposal. We want to ban these cameras. Thanks so much.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind filling out a speaker card so that the clerks can keep official record. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Eric Holt, I live in Cottleville. I want to talk about the red light cameras too. And this is a story from one of your constituents of how they treat you when you get one of these tickets and you're not supposed to. A few years ago, I got a ticket in the mail from St. Peter's. Had a picture on it because they take a picture of the driver. When you looked at the ticket was sent to me. When you look at the ticket, my car obviously was not me driving. So I took the ticket up to the city clerk's office. Okay, picture's not me. I'm innocent before, being proven guilty. Picture shows that I'm not guilty. Clerk says, no, you'll have to show up to the next court date. So I go to the next court date, stand in line for 2 hours, get inside the court thing, sit in there for an hour, go past the judge, same thing, showed him the picture. Sir, they give me this ticket. Picture proves it's not me. Can we dismiss this? No, you'll have to talk to the prosecutor at the next court session. So I go back the next month, stand in line once again for 2 hours, go inside, sit in the room for a half hour. They finally came and got me, said, okay, the prosecutor will talk to you now. So I go in there, and there's the prosecutor and a police officer, and they have a video of the violation and all their stuff set up, and they're like, what's her first thing that she said to me is, what's your problem? And I'm like, excuse me, I don't know what you mean. And she says, well, this car obviously ran a red light. I said, well, it obviously isn't me driving it. I said, you don't have the right person here. She's like, well, you got to tell me who it is. I said, no, I don't. I said, that's your guys' job is to find out who the guilty party is. I said, all I know is it's not me. I sat there for quite a while they read me the riot act of why, you should know who's driving your car and all this and all that, and you need to tell us who it is and all that. And finally, I'm like, look, picture says that's not me, right? She says, yeah. I said, so I'm not guilty, correct? Well, no, I'll dismiss it. But you got a bigger problem. I said, well, okay, so I left. Fast forward another year, they sent me another ticket. This one was for a car that stopped for like a second and made a right turn on red at Mid Rivers and Willett. It got them. Even though they stopped and made a right turn, they didn't make a full stop for 3 seconds. Sent me a red light ticket in the mail. Once again, it's not me driving the car. I'm like, okay, here I go. I can spend another 2 evenings, another 6 hours of my time doing this runaround, playing the game to get it dismissed, or I can send them $110. At the time, I was working double shifts. I didn't have time to really mess with it. So what I do, I sent them the $110. So even though their picture proved I was not guilty, I ended up paying them money for nothing. That's what's wrong with these cameras. They can't prove who did it, but they're going to make you pay the money. So thanks. I hope you guys do the right thing.
Thanks for sharing your story with us. We appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Marvin Starrett, 813 Carolyn Jean in O'Fallon, Missouri. You've already heard a lot of the reasons that red light cameras are bad. The companies sometimes set up the yellow lights to be not long enough. There's no discretion, police officer discretion there as the ticket's mailed out. I mean, supposedly somebody looks at it and says, oh yeah, we should, don't mail them out perhaps, but it would be better perspective if there was a police officer actually there at the traffic light seeing that red light being run. He would have the discretion of knowing in his mind kind of the facts of what was going on and why that car went through and whether it warranted a ticket. And that would be much more legal. As to not wanting to present this to the voters, I have a problem with my own councilman's inconsistencies here because he doesn't want to put this to the vote. He doesn't want to impose this on St. Peter's or any other town. But when we were discussing smoking bans, he had no problem with imposing that and putting that to a vote. We had no problems introducing a bill with very bad language, ballot language, to convert the sheriff's department into a police department, which takes away basically the constitutional protections of every citizen in this county. Put that to a vote. So why not put 4082 to a vote of the people? I'll be glad to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming forward. Yes, sir.
My name is Matthew Hay, 34 San Marino Parkway, Fenton, Missouri. I am the founder of a group called Wrong on Red. You've listened to me enough this evening, so I'll keep this short and sweet. I just wanted to highlight one issue that I heard during the work session that was kind of concerning, and that was the whole, well, let's wait till the courts figure out what they want to do a year and a half from now. I mean, if we're going to take that philosophy with everything, honestly, why even be there? You know, why even be the legislative branch if we're just going to defer to the judiciary and say, well, we'll let them rule by whatever they want to rule by? I mean, you're at the legislative branch to be a voice for your constituents and allow your constituents to speak. And they don't speak through the judiciary. They speak through the legislative branch of their charter government. So I would ask you to please support the measure that would put this question to the voters of the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any other public speakers on this subject or any other ones? Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Joe Wetter. I'm a resident of the city of St. Charles. I'm here tonight to talk about this MRAP, armored personnel vehicle, that the Sheriff's Department is wanting to acquire from the Department of Defense. I have some concerns about it. One of the contributing factors to the American Revolution was a standing army. Great Britain put in an army that essentially was held over the head of the American people, that were the British people back then. But what it did is it gave them a sense that their freedom wasn't there. In fact, this is why we have the Third Amendment of the Constitution. But fast forward to today, since the declaration of the war on drugs and since 9/11, what we've seen is a progression of the militarization of police departments and sheriff's departments. It's like the days of Andy Griffith are gone. You know, less and less we're seeing police officers in ties and shiny dress shoes, and we're seeing more combat boots and the tactical fatigues. So then we see marked cars, marked Crown Victorias being replaced with unmarked Dodge Chargers with tinted windows. It's very intimidating. Now what we're seeing is these MRAP vehicles, and we see these Bearcat vehicles that are designed for the streets of Baghdad being gifted to these county governments for tornadoes and floods. You know, I'm kind of getting mixed information on them, but I'm seeing from the letter from the Sheriff's Department to the County Council that it's for active shooters or barricade incidents, whatever that is, and support for high-risk narcotic events, in addition to tornadoes and such. But what I want you guys to do before you take a vote on this is kind of step back and look and say, are we sort of bringing this authoritarian feeling on the people of our country today with this huge militarization of this police and allowing our county to have vehicles of war that are made for the streets of Baghdad and not for St. Charles County to just come here? So please just take a look and think about it and consider voting no. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate those comments. Does anybody else have a comment on the the Department of Defense of a multi-response armored personnel vehicle? Easy for me to say.
I guess I need a card. That's where they come from, right?
Yeah, if you'll fill one out when you're done speaking.
It's an honor to be here. Appreciate you guys' work. I'd just like to agree with what Joe said. This is an alarming militarization of our police forces. I've been seeing it since I've been politically awake, 1980 or so until now. And that signals something very dangerous. I'd also like to say the federal government has no business giving anything away. They are in debt, out of control. This can be sold, and the profits used for whatever. There's plenty of needs. I'm sorry. My principal point I lost. That is that the militarization of the police force goes along hand in glove with the current administration's stated intent to have a civilian police force as well funded and well armed as our military. If that does not alarm anyone, then they don't understand the United States of America very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, council members. Jesse Callison, St. Charles resident. I also want to speak in regards to the MRAP vehicle. On top of what the two gentlemen already said, these vehicles are made primarily for interactions with other military forces, IEDs, grenade launchers. There's a Bearcat that already exists in the county. I'm just wondering what interactions the sheriff might have that would require such a piece of equipment in our county. On top of that, I'm curious, this equipment is supposed to be free, but has anyone considered the fuel cost? Maintenance on these can go $50,000 plus a year. So I don't know if anyone's considered who's paying for the maintenance, if it's budgeted in, where's that money coming from? And on top of that, that $50,000 plus potential a year in maintenance, I recalled the sheriff's department saying that they were understaffed or underfunded. I'm thinking that $50,000 could go to another officer or something a little better than this military vehicle. Another concern I have monetarily with this vehicle's a 15-ton vehicle. I would be curious on some of these back roads where your larger trucks aren't allowed, how much damage might occur and who's going to incur the cost for that as well. That's really all I've got on the subject. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, sir.
I pretty much agree with what the speakers have already said on this MRAP. First of all, it says donation from the federal government. Let's be clear, there's no such thing as a freebie from the federal government. There's strings attached to everything they give, whether it's a grant or it's quote donation. There's going to be strings. They give something to the sheriff's department or the county police department, whatever it's going to be. There are going to be strings there. They're going to call them. They're going to be in debt to the federal government. Their sheriff is going to be in debt to the federal government. Probably already is. For the previous things that have been going on with federal grants and federal drug seizure monies, et cetera, whatever programs. I am concerned with this increased militarization. The federal government is giving these out to various police departments and sheriff's departments across the country. There's a reason. The federal government, as we all know, we've been here to previous sessions, we've been talking about things going on here at the county level or various levels where the federal government is infringing upon people's constitutional rights. They're ignoring the Constitution left and right. They're getting prepared for martial law, and every little sheriff or police department captain or, chief that they've got on their puppet strings, when the time comes, they're going to expect them to be the militarized police, the militarization or the military against the people they're supposed to be protecting, not fighting against. Thank you.
Thank you. I've kind of bent the rules a little bit. Normally we have 3 speakers that are either for or against a particular item. Is there anyone else that's in the audience to speak on another item? Okay. You've already spoke twice. On a different item. Come on forward.
I'd like to say I'm concerned on this proposed bill that's going to be introduced tonight, 4083. I'm not against things going to the voters for election. That's not my problem. But conflicts of interest in lobbying. One, I'm concerned that I couldn't find more than this 2-sentence readout on the bill. And it might be in that package somewhere, but I couldn't find it in a short time I had, and I couldn't get online the day my internet was down. I have concerns with with maybe legal or constitutional concerns. Are you going to impose the same restrictions on people that are not elected to office that are running for office as you are to people who are already employed or already elected to an office? I see a difference to somebody that's not elected that may not get elected. And I question not so much the motive, but the appearance of the motivation of this. I mean, saying it's timing to be on the August election, and it almost appears like this is intended against a primary candidate that wasn't previously in state government, perhaps. I mean, I'm just considering the motivation of this, and I don't think this bill needs to be actually passed at all. I would not support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dinoff. Okay, this is the, we're not going to continue to do this. Arnie, you're taking advantage and you know it. But
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
not. This is my second time speaking, and it's very important, and we're talking about county
Go
government,
ahead.
and it's about the 400,000 citizens here, Mr. Chairman. Because of all the proposed changes in the county home rule charter, I am calling upon you as the county council and the county executive to establish, per the county charter, and appoint a charter review commission to revamp and allow county government to work better for all of its citizens. It is time for a set of new eyes to see what is working and what is not working in the daily administration and the legislative body of county government. You know, we have Mr. Cronin's smoking ban. We have Mr. Brazel's red light cameras. There's other things that need to be revamped and looked at. We keep piecemealing these items and keep waiting till the last hour to put them on the ballot before they're certified to the election authority. And I think it's high time that we take advantage of what our county charter was passed several years ago, and we need to establish a charter review commission. It's within your preview. We need a set of new eyes as good citizens who want to make county government work for county citizens instead of waiting to the last hour to vote on something and certify it to the county election authority. So that's what I'm asking this county council to do, is to appoint a charter review commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dinoff. Anybody else have any on any other subjects? Seeing none, we'll close the portion of the public comment. Next, we have the oral report from the county executive.
No report this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. Is there any items that people would like to pull out for separate discussion?
I'd like to remove the armored vehicle.
Okay. Motion to remove the armored vehicle.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor of pulling it off that for separate discussion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay. Is there a motion for the balance of the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded for the consent agenda, for the remaining portion of the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Now we'll discuss the multi-response armored personnel vehicle. Mr. Brazel.
I did have a conversation with Ms. Lycom prior to the meeting, asked her some questions, and I expressed some of my concerns. I had people would call me and ask me about the equipment that was coming on the vehicle and if there was any kind of military, guns or whatever. And so, Joanne, kind of explain what we talked about, if you could. And
yes, the request came from the sheriff's office for this vehicle. It's a vehicle that was originally built for the military but was never deployed. And, sorry, we're getting feedback. And so it is armored but not armed. It has no guns, or it will not have a gun turret when it arrives. Its weight is an advantage because in a situation where we have to take it into high waters or over ice through deep snow, the weight allows it to move. You can get 10 people into it, so if we have to take it up into the flooded area, we can get people out if we need to. In addition to that, it is an advantage for the sheriff's office to have, in a situation where they have someone who's barricaded and armed and who is shooting at them. If you remember the Richmond Heights situation a few years ago where the young firefighter was killed by somebody firing from their home, it allows them to get up near and to do a rescue in essence. So that's what the vehicle is for. It's being provided with some, and Captain Todd may have to help me here, some assistance in terms of spare parts and that type of thing. He may be able to speak to that.
Councilmember, I'm Captain Todd, I'm the Special Operations Commander. And I don't totally disagree with these folks because we work for them. So some of these statements are correct, some of them are not. But the one gentleman pointed out it is very heavy. It is very heavy. And some roadways will be an issue. And that's the thing to take into consideration. We looked into this, and as far as the strings are concerned, the only string that I'm aware of is we cannot sell it, we cannot give it away because it belongs to the government. It's basically a loaner, for lack of a better term. So at any point in time, St. Charles County decided they did not want this in the inventory, it goes back to the federal government. One of the understandings in the conversation is all these turrets and stuff, they're removing them. And I don't understand some of the stuff, but there's some other heavy armor that was in war zones. If they went to the war zones, they're not on there. We get 6 additional tires. It is a multi-purpose vehicle, and we're calling it a multi-purpose vehicle. There's some reference to the Bearcat this evening, and rightly so. One of the things we've been very strong on in St. Charles County is we don't bring this stuff out in the middle of the night because we have concerns, just as the people do, about these armored vehicles and police officers running up and down the streets. We call them dog and pony shows. We get a lot of requests at the Home Depots, the Lowe's, the schools. We're selective about the schools. And we bring all this equipment out. It belongs to the people. We just operate it, whether it be the Bearcat, the helicopter, the equipment truck, the cars. We bring them out, we park them, we open it up, climb through it, ask your questions. We work for the people. I mean, now some people are concerned about that, but at the end of the day, that's where I belong. For 35 years, I work for the people. This is another piece of equipment we're trying to get our hands on. Is it armored? Yes, it is. My second part of that, the fact that it isn't armored, it is. That's the issue. If it wasn't armored, we wouldn't be here tonight necessarily, but the fact that it is armored. But it's also 6-wheel drive. It sits very high off the ground. Had such a vehicle been here a year ago, it might have helped us with moving around through some of the tornado damage. We certainly will use it on the north end when we had our flooding. It will ford deep water because we made some phone calls inquiring on this. I don't just need another armored vehicle to sit here. Does it cost money to operate? Yes, it does. That gentleman was absolutely correct. One of the things we've been talking about, we're getting all the spare parts we can get on our hands. We had accepted military vehicles before, and part of the problem with military vehicles, as some of the veterans will know here, they got specific parts that are specific to the military. So we learned our lesson with that. We would get this truck, and it had come with a flux capacitor. We can't get a flux capacitor. This truck is equipped with a Caterpillar engine. We have several diesel vehicles in our inventory that are worked on by Clark Automotive in O'Fallon, and they would also be the people working on this vehicle. They're making this vehicle. We like this vehicle because we can go anywhere with it. The downside is, again, as one of these gentlemen pointed out, you can't just take this thing down every street. We don't need to take it down every street. Councilman Brazel has some good points he brought up about the militarization. We're concerned about because we're concerned about our image and how we appear to the people. That's why we take these things, everything we got. We have nothing in inventory. What we won't do is display weapons to the children. Any adults can make an arrangement to come to the sheriff's department and they want to see the gear. It belongs to them. We'll put it out because, we don't forget who we work for. I would like to get my hands on this truck because it's a multi-purpose for us. It's going to have plates on it. I'm not sure that I'm going to mark it with sheriff's department decals regarding with tactical. What we'll have say on both sides of it so it's clear on the mission is rescue. Big bold letters down both sides. But at the end of the day, there's no turret. There's no secret weapons on it because it will be parked and it will be put out so people can see it. Because at the end of the day, it belongs to the people of St. Charles County. I don't work for the federal government. I did that for 4 years. I made a conscious choice to move on, and I work for civilian government. By these people speaking here tonight, that keeps that checks and balance in order. I'm good with this. I'm good with this. If we didn't have this, we would be moving to that police state we're so concerned about. And at the end of the day, my family lives here too, and I don't want to live in a police state. And they can find me any day at the office. I'd be happy to discuss anything with them because, again, we work for them. What else can I answer for you folks?
What is the estimated annual cost, operating cost?
It would be the same as, okay, I'm not a mechanic. It would be the same as maintaining one of our diesel trucks, the oil changes, that sort of thing. That was one of the things we liked about it when they offered, because as some of these folks have pointed out, you get these offers from the federal government all the time. Just because they're offering it doesn't make it a good thing. So that's why we were looking at it. It has a Caterpillar engine, so it would need service as a regular truck. One of my concerns was these tires. They're not normal tires. We will receive 6 tires plus the wheel kits that go with them. Because at the end of the day, we still have to operate with the money that we have. I'm not clear on the annual cost. It's a truck. The difference is it's an armored truck.
Okay.
And I don't know if I answered your question, Mr. Cunningham.
Mr. Cronin?
Yes, sir.
I think it's real important to understand for a lot of these folks out here that the sheriff and his deputies are all good people that are friends and neighbors with a lot of people. I know a bunch of deputies, and I can tell you they're no different than me or anybody else sitting up here. They're here to serve. All that being said, I don't think anybody's got to worry about them driving one of that vehicle down a driveway to collect a red light ticket from the city of St. Peters. Okay? So we have to put a little levity into this. But the same token, you do have to realize that bad guys can buy armor-piercing ammunition on the internet now, and our deputies need to be prepared for hostage situations, drug deals, tornadoes, everything else, and this just makes them more prepared. So, any kind of weapon can be a bad thing in a bad person's hands, but these are good guys that are here to serve and protect, and I think that they say, and the sheriff says that they need this to do their job better. I trust them. I'm in support of this.
Well, thank you, Councilman Cronin. I'd like to address that also. And the one gentleman pointed out, times have changed, and we're not just carrying the revolvers. I'm older than I look. I'm not as far as the sheriff is, but we both start out revolvers. But I can tell you the day I could remember, we tell you we have police officers in the schools. We have police officers in the schools. We're not necessarily dealing with the same people that we dealt with when I started out as a young deputy. I never thought the day that would happen we would station officers in the schools. We do. My children's children have cameras in their daycare. Didn't think that ever happened, so you can watch your children and see what's happening in the school. Times have changed, and at some point we have to adjust. I don't disagree with them. There's a point that we have to draw a line in the sand. Because at the end of the day, we still do not forget that we're commissioned civilian law enforcement, not the military. And that's why you sit there, and that's why they vote. I'm a voter also. Again, I did the military thing. I moved on. I'm a civilian law enforcement officer. And I'm here to tell you, should the federal government decide to come in here, I go with what the state law and the county government tells me and my men to do, and the ladies.
Yeah, I think the point is pretty simple here. Any time that we can allow our sheriff's department to be equipped and to handle emergencies, handle anything that comes up, I think we should certainly do that. I, for one, am very, very happy that if I'm in distress that Barney Fife doesn't come and, answer the call any longer. I think we have a very, very professional sheriff's department who has certainly in almost all instances that I'm aware of, has conducted themselves in a very professional manner. So if we can provide them with the very best equipment, I think we ought to do that. We have received numerous calls in outlying counties to assist them with some situations where they were in way over their heads, and they couldn't deal with it. We have new officers. We just picked up some new officers. Their first class, and I'm referring to tactical officers, their first class Monday morning, when they start this course next week, is an hour of legal. And the first thing they're reminded of, and I'm standing behind whichever attorney is teaching, is we don't wear hoods. We're not that type of agency. We're not undercover. We're commissioned officers. We have no further authority serving those warrants than the officer in the regular uniform. The first thing we get straight to these young men and ladies, we will now have a young lady on our unit, is that nothing's changed you for a police officer. We are not commandos. We are police officers. And we enforce the laws of the land and the court orders that are signed by a judge in St. Charles County. No court order, no tactical team.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Very well. I don't think there's any other questions. You'd like to make a motion?
I was going to make a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
The thing about it with me is, the federal government does scare me with a lot of things they've been doing. They come up with all these different plans, Homeland Security, Department of Defense, And it's not, I'm not worried so much about what Captain Todd's going to do or what Tom Neer's going to do or the administration. I'm just worried about it's not my office, it's not your office, these offices are the people's office, and it just concerns me about the future, about what people will be in those positions in 10 years or 20 years. And he said this truck will last forever. So I don't, you almost sound like one of these crazy, whatever those people are, but there is some truth to that. I mean, you have to be concerned about that. So I don't know if they have the Bearcat or whatever that other armored vehicle is. So I don't know how much of a fan I am of this. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. I don't know. So if I don't support it, it's not because of anybody here. It's not nothing personal. It's just because it concerns me for the future.
Okay. Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to accept the sheriff's being able to accept the donation for the multi-response armored personnel vehicle.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Get the ayes have it. Thank you very much. All right, next we have bills for final passage. Would you like to read the first one, please?
Bill number 4076, an ordinance granting conditional use permit 22067 for firewood cutting, sales and storage, automobile, truck, trailer, and recreational vehicle sales and storage, and boat storage to Eric Raymond and Mitchell Raymond.
Is there any discussion on this before we vote? Seeing none, if you would, read it again, call the vote.
An ordinance granting conditional use permit 22067 for a firewood cutting sale and storage, automobile, truck, trailer, and recreational vehicle sales and storage, and boat storage to Eric Raymond and Mitchell Raymond. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Okay, next one is bill number 4077. If you
Bill
read
number
that one.
4077, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A, agricultural district, 5 acres minimum lot size, to RR, single-family residential district, 3 acres minimum lot size, as per application 21936.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you'll read it and call the vote.
An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A, agricultural district, 5 acres minimum lot size, to RR, single-family residential district, 3 acres minimum lot size, as per application 21936. Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Okay, next one, please.
Bill number 4078, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a memorandum of agreement with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services and the St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment related to expanded HIV testing programs, such services to be fully funded by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you'll read it and call the vote.
An ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a memorandum of agreement with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services and the St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment related to expanded HIV testing programs, such services to be fully funded by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Bill number 4080. If you'll read that one, please.
Bill number 4079,
79.
an ordinance authorizing execution of documents for receipt of grant funds up to the amount of $3,500 under the Capacity Building Awards Program from the National Association of County and City Health Officials, and further amending Ordinance 13-092 by providing related supplemental appropriations to the budget of the Department of Community Health and the Environment.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you'll read it again, call the vote.
An ordinance authorizing execution of documents for receipt of grant funds up to the amount of $3,500 under the Capacity Building Awards Program from the National Association of County and City Health Officials, and further amending Ordinance 13-092 by providing related supplemental appropriations to the budget of the Department of Community Health and the Environment. Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Okay, now Bill 4080.
Bill number 4080, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of the multidisciplinary training for child abuse neglect grant from the Missouri Office of State Courts Administrator for receipt of funds up to the amount of $2,766.30, and further amending ordinance 13-092 relating to a supplemental appropriation to the budget of the juvenile court in that amount.
Any questions or comments? Council, seeing none, if you'll